Yo, what's good? I appreciate everybody for tuning in on this late night DFD live where we're going to talk a little bit about Diddy, but I'm also going to give you a little legal analysis because the biggest question is, yo, who leaked the tape? What's going on? How did it get out after being out there for 16 years? Well, we're going to do a little common sense analysis and opinion on what I think happened, but more importantly, I'm gonna give you a legal analysis of why it happened and why the release of this tape really screws Diddy over. And it's actually genius. It's something I would have done. If you're new to the channel, I'm Marcus, the debt free dad. Over here, we talk finance and attorney reactions. Is there finance nexus to this video? Of course, and I'll definitely talk about that after he blows off most of his money on court costs. But that's a whole nother story. We talk finances and attorney reactions. I'm a licensed attorney, licensed in several jurisdictions, but none of those places amount to me being your personal counselor at law. So if you want legal or financial advice, go seek a professional, somebody with a fiduciary obligation. Over here is just infotainment purposes and giving y'all my real attorney reaction based on 14 years of legal experience. I've seen it all, been through it all. I haven't done it all, but I represented people who've done most of it, not all of it. Okay. So, and if you see something that you like on this video, subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video. All right. So we all know that there's a video out there that shows Diddy as the monster that he is. I don't think anybody well, I don't know. Amazingly, I am seeing some people are still defending this dude, but hey, I'm gonna leave that shit to y'all. Like, hey, I call a spade a spade. I call a douchebag, and someone who committing crime and should be locked up for it, but they got past the statute of limitations. I'm gonna call it like I see it. But the big question is, how did this video get leaked, and why did this video get leaked? Now, there are a couple theories out there. Yeah, I heard one theory where someone said someone from the hotel leaked it. Another theory is that it was leaked by law enforcement. Well, let's just take a look at this objectively as to how it got leaked, the likely reason how it got leaked, how that leak was actually important and strategic, and the stupid thing that probably was done by Diddy to lead to this getting leaked and why it was stupid. Okay. Now, there's only a few avenues where this tape could have come from. Let's just think about this from an easy way. Option A, it could have came from some staff at the hotel or personnel at the hotel because allegedly, purportedly, he paid $50,000 to get the tape. Now, we don't know if he got the hard copy of the tape. If he got a hard copy, it probably is some hard drive out there with it on it. But option A, from the hotel or hotel staff. Option B, where would he get the tape from? It would be someone from law enforcement possibly leaked it. Law enforcement maybe did some research. Maybe you never know. Maybe they got the tape from the hotel. Option C is that probably the likely scenario. The tape got released by law enforcement due to Diddy's own stupidity, which I think is the case. All right. It's not option A. It didn't come from anybody at the hotel because if it would have came from somebody at the hotel, that tape was released damn near 7+ years ago in 2016. It probably would have been out. Like whoever got that $50,000, I don't know if it was the security coordinator who handles it or somebody upper management at the hotel. But if they were going to put that tape out, they would have been put it out, or they would have been put it out after they spent all of their 50 racks. But option A isn't likely. Option B, kind of likely. It could have come from law enforcement, but I seriously doubt that law enforcement actually got the tape from the hotel. Well, DFD, why wouldn't law enforcement get the tape from the hotel? Because think about it. If I was a personnel at the hotel and I purportedly took $50,000 to give Diddy a copy of the tape, why would I circle back years later and give a copy of the tape to authorities? I mean, you could be looking at destruction of evidence, obstruction of justice charges, all sorts of stuff. So I don't think it was option A. He didn't get it from somebody at the hotel because they already got their 50 bands to give the tape up to him. Option B, the law enforcement didn't get it from somebody at the hotel because if they did, why would they give it to law enforcement after they already got their $50,000 and open themselves up to obstruction of justice charges, destruction of evidence charges? It just wouldn't make any sense. So option A and B out. Option C, law enforcement got the tape from Diddy. That's probably the likely scenario. We all remember some weeks ago when law enforcement ran up in there with battering rams and uh, uh, M4s and the whole nine, which to me wasn't excessive. I've seen similar things like that done for search warrants for doctors' homes. So I don't think it was anything excessive, just based on my personal experience. I think it was par of the course for the nature of what they were searching for, the background of the person associated with, and the size of the compound. But let me explain why option C is likely. Now, if I committed a crime, right, or Diddy committed this crime, the first thing you're gonna ask is why in the hell, if you paid $50,000 for the tape, and I put a VHS cassette on the thumbnail because I just feel like nobody used VHS cassettes, but I feel like a VHS is like when you hear tape, you just think of that. Maybe because I'm old, but if Diddy paid $50,000 to get let's assume it was the sole only copy of the tape. Why the hell would law enforcement have the tape? Because he probably kept the tape. Now, what are the chances that he kept the tape? Let's just think about this. Just from word of mouth and what people assert in civil lawsuits and complaints, even though they're just allegations, hey, there's reason to believe that Diddy is fond of audio video recordings in his home and having control of the situation by having control over those tapes, having control of people by having them in compromising positions on video. Now, hey, these are just alleged, but this is the word on the street. This is what we see from several of the complaints that have been filed against Diddy. A lot of recording, a lot of wanting to get images. Now, there's only two reasons that Diddy would want to have all these recordings. One is he going the J. Edgar Hoover route to blackmail people and have control over them, having them in compromising positions. But two, why would somebody keep video of a crime they committed or them doing something that could be illegal? Is because let's just think about it, okay? From a we're going to dive a little bit deep right here. But a lot of times you see this with people who commit sexual assaults. You see this. You see it with anything. Every criminal has a mode of operation as to how they do things, and it's really like chasing a drug high. That very first time someone uses a drug and they get high, and they always getting high trying to get that first high. People who have a tendency to record things, or even if they don't record it, a lot of times you'll see criminals try to reenact their very first criminal offense over and over and over because it provides a thrill, it provides a rush. So it's not uncommon for people who commit criminal activities and who do it habitually, who've been doing it for a while, who have a pattern, to want to see their handiwork. It's like an arsonist who sets something on fire, but he stays around to see it burn, or he sets a similar place on fire in a similar method. So that's probably the reason why the tape exists. You would think common sense. If I pay $50,000 to get the sold tape, I'm going to just destroy the tape. But no, he probably kept the tape around because he probably got a kick out of it. A lot of times it creates a sense of euphoria, a dopamine rush to get your adrenaline going when you can look back on that instance or that particular moment. So that's probably why the hell the tape was in his home in the first place. So he pays $50,000. He stupidly likely doesn't destroy the tape because we can assume that he didn't get it from the hotel in any form of fashion because he paid to get rid of it. And if the hotel or staff at the hotel would have gave it to him, now they're looking at potential criminal charges for obstruction of justice and destruction of evidence and all sorts of crazy stuff. So the Yahoo keeps this tape. Now that he has the tape in the house, Law enforcement comes in and do a search. After the search was conducted, we heard over the media that there was something crazy like thousands of hours of video surveillance footage and things that were taken from the home. One of those things was likely this tape that was confiscated. So that's probably the likely reason that the tape got taken and how it was leaked. Now, this is the bigger question. Why would law enforcement leak the tape? All right, it's actually a fucking genius move, and it's something I would have done. Right quick before I touch on that, like we also got to think about this. I've been in roles where I actually had to be the signing authority for an operation to execute a search warrant. Like, okay, here's the op plan. This is when we're going to do the search warrant. How? These are all the law enforcement partners involved. How many staff? Who's on what position? And so I've sat in a position where the operation plan is brought to me, and I have to sign off and approve it so people can go out and execute the search warrant. I have never. This is just me and my personal experience. I've only been in this game for 14 years. But I have never signed off on an operation plan to execute a search warrant where we haven't been looking at a subject for 9 months at least. Literally every search warrant operation plan that I signed off on, we've probably been looking at that target for at a minimum 9 to 12 months, probably longer. By the time we go in there with search warrants, like things are pretty strong. Let's go ahead and dive into this comment before I jump on why this video was released. Oh yeah, that's a good point. One, I didn't hear the. I heard a snippet of the diss track, but I just can't strike myself to listen to what is his name? Is it Christian Combs? What do he call himself? King Combs? DFD. Did you hear the diss track Christian Combs made to the haters, where he basically admits they own the house next door to the raid and the feds missed it? Oh my god, these dudes are idiots. Like yeah. So on the scale of how why this tapes got leaked, I'm gonna put probably 70%. I'm put 90% of it on Diddy because I'm assuming just based on what we talked about that he actually kept the tapes. This other 10% I'm gonna give to young Christian Combs according to this comment because that's just stupid. You never want to brag with law enforcement, and I think this is the reason why. Now, I suspect that law enforcement got a copy of the tape during the raid. I suspect that they released it, and it was actually a genius move. This is some shit that I would have did. Well, why would law enforcement release the tape? Well, it does a few things. One, none of these, and I talked about this in the video yesterday. None of the actions on the tape the actions on the tape are outside the statute of limitations for crimes that could be charged in California. So no criminal activity is going to come from that. So, well, DFD, why would they release the tape? Because I want to put Diddy in the bad light. If I have an investigation for human trafficking charges and sex trafficking charges, at some point in time, do y'all think that if and when the feds come knocking on Diddy's door because he's been indicted and a grand jury came back with a true bill to charge him with sex trafficking, human trafficking, whatever version of trafficking they want to give him, maybe a RICO charge. Do y'all think Diddy is going to sit down with his lawyers and agree to take a plea? Absolutely fucking not. He going to deny, deny, deny. He going to want to take it to trial. And releasing this tape is a perfect way to taint the jury in the favor of the government. Think about it. Everybody. My mother is like 74 years old. And she was like, that Diddy is a scoundrel. He needs to be in jail. Everybody who's been watching anything on the media is aware of this tape. Everybody's seen the tape. Who really likes abuser? Who likes a man who hits a woman unless it's another abuser, like Abusers Club for America? Them releasing this tape tainted the jury in their favor. Everybody sees Diddy as extremely abusive, as being crazy, as it that video corroborates most of the stuff that Cassie said in her lawsuit, but it just puts him in a bad light. So now all of the things that people allege that he did, watching that video, it's going to make a juror think he possibly could have did it. One of the first things I thought about was I was like, man, this was a good time to release the video. I wonder if prosecutors going to listen to Keefe D now, because Keefe D said that Puffy uh, offered him $1 million to take out Tupac. A video like this, you're gonna be like, oh man, anybody who could do this will do absolutely anything. What's going on, sis? I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you tuning in. But so genius, if which I believe this video was released by the federal government because it taints the jury in their favor. Everybody's seen this video. Nobody likes an abusive asshole, which Diddy clearly is, and it automatically taints the jury. The other thing that it does is it makes you have a lot of empathy, and uh, it increases the veracity if Cassie is called to the stand as a witness in any type of trafficking case that may come from it. She put all of these allegations in her complaint, and what happens? A video comes out later that supports one of the exact claims that she had in her allegations. So the feds releasing this video, which I think it happened, the feds releasing this video, it taints the jury in their favor because it puts Diddy in the bad light because nobody like abusive assholes. And it increases the veracity of the truthfulness of Cassie if she's called to the stand as a witness in any human trafficking charge that may comes forward. It does one more thing that's actually genius, and I mean it was actually beautiful. I don't know who idea it was to release it, but it was actually beautiful. All right, so Diddy's in the bad light. No matter who you put as a juror on this trial, they all seen this video, and they're all likely going to think he's guilty before the trial even starts because they seen this dude beating the hell out of a woman like the sadistic maniac that he was. That's check on my prosecutor's box. That's a check mark. The second thing that it did is it increases the truthfulness of Cassie if she has to be called as a witness in any criminal trial against him. Check. The last thing that it does is it makes Diddy look like exactly what he is, a liar. Now, how does it make him look like a liar? Okay, I said yesterday Diddy's biggest legal mistake was not settling this matter with Cassie before she filed a complaint in court. He should have never his attorneys, they should have this Cassie's complaint should have never seen the light of day because Diddy should have paid her whatever the fuck she was asking for when she initially asked for it before she filed it. But that was his biggest legal mistake. So but it also makes him looks like a liar. So they killed three birds with one stone by dropping this one video. Because Cassie files her complaint in court. He settles it the next day. Other people file complaints alleging similar conduct to what was in Cassie's complaint. Diddy goes to his social media, and what does he do on his social media? He sends out a tweet or X or whatever the hell it's called now, saying that I categorically deny all of these claims against me. These are false accusations for people who are just looking for a payday. That's what he said. He said all of these, his actual words were, all of these are false allegations. Now, what happens? He said all of these are false allegations. We see a video that essentially corroborates Cassie's allegations, so it's not false, and you're a liar. So three things were done that were absolutely genius. That's why I'm 100% convinced that this video was leaked by the feds. Hey, it tainted the jury in their favor. Everybody think Diddy is what he is, what the video shows him to be, an abusive asshole who think he's above the law. It increases Cassie's truthfulness if she is called as a star witness, and it makes Diddy look like a liar because he posted or put a tweet out there or X or whatever the hell it's called saying that all of the allegations were false. Then his video comes out to prove that at least one allegation that was in Cassie's complaint is 100% corroborated by video evidence. So that's my theory on who released it, why it really was released, and why it was so fucking smart, in my opinion. Nah, she not gonna get any more money now that that video out. Yeah, Diddy settled that. Once he settled that with Cassie, that's a wrap. She can't get any more money. Um, she can't get any more money outside of that because it was already a matter that he resolved through a civil remedy. The only thing that can happen to him now that I mean, unless she had, and of course we'll never see the terms of what that settlement agreement was, but I'm assuming Diddy has attorneys who are actually fucking smart. I don't know. I'm assuming his attorneys are smart, and they probably included language that would wrap up any claims she had in that civil complaint, or any future claims that she may file that's based on previous conduct that occurred during the course of their relationship. That's normally, I mean, that's how I would draft it. I mean, but that's normally how those things are drafted. Hey, we're gonna agree to settle this for however much money he paid, but in exchange for that, hey, you are waiving your right to ever get any compensation or bring a civil claim for anything you got in this complaint or any other conduct that you made, like any future complaints that are based on conduct that occurred between, what was it, 2005 and 2019 or however long. And they probably had some provision like that to just wrap the whole thing up. All right. Can she sue the hotel? Hmm. Possibly. I never thought about that. Possibly. It could be some civil, because civil statute of limitations are a little bit different. Like most, not all criminal statute of limitations, but most criminal statute of limitations start from the time the offense was committed. There are some states out there, California is one, where some crimes, the statute of limitations starts when the state should have become aware of the offense. So criminal statute of limitations are a little bit unique. Civil statute of limitations, the clock doesn't start until a person is aware of the actual harm. So there potentially could be some civil recourse. Let's just say, let me give an example. Okay, let's say I went to the doctor and me and my wife were having a child, and my child was born and he had some significant physical defect. And we just thought that he was just born with this defect. It was unbeknownst to us. Well, let's say we move from state A to state B, we carry our child for a checkup, and during this checkup, the doctor's asking questions. He runs some tests on the child, and he sees something that's an anomaly. He says, "Hey, well, we noticed that X, Y, and Z happened, or this happened during the course of your pregnancy." A civil statute of limitation doesn't start until you become aware of the harm, because you don't necessarily know that someone was negligent until it impacts you. Like, okay, I I have an antique car collection that I rarely drive, and I take my car to a mechanic to get it squared away, and he put new brakes on the car. And he put those new brakes on the car, and I drive it home and put it in the garage, and I don't drive it for a couple months because I'm traveling. Then when I come back home, I want to get in my car. I hop in my car, I go traveling, and lo and behold, the brake line snaps. I crash the car. I'm in the hospital for 8 months. Hey, they want to look at the cause of the accident. Mechanics, everybody do a little investigation, and they found out that the brake line was faulty, and it was inevitable that that brake line was going to pop. Well, at the time when I paid for the service and got my car back, I didn't know that the mechanic did faulty work. So a civil statute of limitations isn't going to start from the time that I had that work done. It starts from the time that the plaintiff, the person who's complaining, the person who's suing, is aware of the actual harm. So, with that being said, the answer to your question is yes. She actually may have some recourse if it can be proven that, and I think is a good chance, especially if they got the video from Diddy's house. If it could be proven that they had the surveillance, they withheld it, and they sold it to Diddy for some undisclosed amount, she may be able to have some type of civil recourse. And that's actually a good case because she should actually um, intentional infliction of emotional distress would probably be something I would do. Some form of negligence would probably be another cause of action that I would probably sue for if I was her. Because especially if you're at a hotel, because innkeepers have a because the innkeepers hotels have a higher duty of care that they owe you. So yeah, I think that's a good question and a damn good point. So yeah, she might have a recourse against the hotel, and if it's a civil claim, the statute of limitation doesn't start until the plaintiff, the person suing, finds out that they've actually been harmed. The actual damages have occurred. So that was a damn good question. Good question. Good question. For reading the document, it seems a lot of big money venues were complicit in covering up her abuses and Diddy's atrocities. They all need to be called to the carpet. Yeah, I agree because I tell everybody assume when you leave in your house and you're in a public forum that you're being recorded. That's just what it is. I've literally I've literally been in certain law enforcement headquarters of local police departments, and I've seen someone like snatch a lady's purse, and they ran like 12 blocks, and every block that they turned, a camera just picked them up all the way to the time from the time they stole the purse to the time they ran 12 blocks. The camera even caught them going on the porch to their home. So the general rule is when you leave your house, you're probably under some kind of surveillance. And we know Diddy not staying at no bum ass place, right? He not staying at no bum ass place. So they have the greatest security system. So I agree with you. And I said it in the video yesterday. I don't think this would. I would be shocked if this is the only video coming out of Diddy doing some monstrous shit like this, abusing women, being a complete and total douchebag. I think there's probably definitely more videos like this. He probably was foolish enough to keep them. And let's just keep it a buck. Like that video that we saw, that wasn't indicative of, oh, that was my first and only time that I decided to engage in abuse. Then I decided I didn't like it. No, the video that we saw yesterday, that video that's out there, that's conduct of somebody who's been doing that shit for a long ass time, who has a habitual pattern, who does it habitually, and who does it with no regard because he thinks his money can, keep him above the law. So yeah, that dude's about to get his day in court. He gonna spend a shitload of money on attorneys and fees and all sorts of other stuff. But that's my personal opinion of who leaked the video, how they obtained the video, and more importantly, if it is true, my belief is true, which I feel fairly confident that it is, that the federal government leaked the video. It was absolutely fucking genius because just to recap before we get out of here, unless somebody else got a question or a comment, the feds releasing that video would be genius because it does three things. The first thing that it does is taint the jury pool in their favor. No matter who you have on that jury pool, whoever you select to become a juror, they've all seen that video. They all going to think Diddy's a douchebag. That's point number one. Point number two, they're going to be more inclined to believe anything Cassie has to say if she's called as a witness to corroborate anything that may need corroboration from future charges for human trafficking or sex trafficking because she was there for a long time. When you got somebody around you for a long time like that, they know where all the bodies are buried. And the third thing that it does, it proves that Diddy is a liar because when all these allegations came out, he sent out an X saying that all of these allegations are false. Now we see one is a false. Now, I will tell you before we go out of here, Diddy would be an absolute idiot. One, he's going to trial. He's not going to take a plea. Like, no way he's going to take a plea for anything. That would be crazy if he took a plea. I just don't see him doing it. I just don't see him doing it. I don't see him taking a plea. That's just what it is. But the other thing is, he would be an absolute idiot if he decided to get on the stand and actually testify. Can you imagine, like, yo, if Diddy actually got on the stand to testify during like a sex trafficking trial, that would be that would be the worst legal mistake in criminal history that's been done. Even President Trump is savvy enough to be like, you know what? I don't give a damn what y'all do. I'm not getting on that stand. Because once you're on that stand, it's a wrap. They're gonna start asking you questions. If you lie on the stand, you're gonna be, oh man, like you looking at jail time for lying under oath and all of this stuff. So he would be an absolute idiot to get on the stand. But hey, hey, he hasn't done anything smart thus far. I would like to think this is a point where he would actually listen to his attorneys and not get on the stand, because getting on the stand would be it'll be a colossal disaster for him. But the decision to get on the stand isn't up to the attorney; it's up to the client. Trust me, I had clients who I actually had a client. Well, I tell this story later, but I had clients who I was like, bro, don't get on the stand. They're gonna start asking you questions. Everybody think they cool, calm, and collective until they sitting in that courtroom in that hot seat, and it's an audience there, it's jurors there, it might be cameras in there, and they all crumble and fold under the pressure and just look guilty as hell. So, like, but it's up to the client. Like, if the client wants to go on the stand, I can't be like, I'm just not calling you. Like, no, he can file a bar complaint and I can lose my license if he tells the bar that I wanted to testify in my own defense and my attorney wouldn't call me to the stand. Like, so, that's completely up to the client if they want to testify on their own behalf. But 99.9% of the time, I can only think of maybe two times in the thousands of cases where I represented people, I could probably think of two times where, like, during a trial, I was like, you know what? Go on the stand and tell your story. One, because they were actually innocent. We had good facts to support it, but it rarely happens. You really don't want people doing that. And if he did that, it would be a colossal disaster. And that would damn near all but assure that he's going to go to jail for whatever the hell that they charge him in. But yeah, you're right. It definitely sways public opinion. So, yo, shout out to whoever was the U.S. attorney, because that had to be a U.S. attorney's call because investigators aren't going to do that. But shout out to whoever was the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, who idea was, in my opinion, to release that footage. It was a genius move. The only other thing that Diddy could do, since he has everything on video, he probably wouldn't keep this on video. If I were like Diddy's attorneys, the first thing I would do, I would go and be like, you idiot, why'd you keep the videotape, you dummy? What's wrong with you? Number one. Then after I told him how stupid he was, the next thing I would ask him is, because you have so much surveillance, right? Now I know it doesn't absolve Diddy of his conduct. So I don't want y'all to come for me in the comments like, you supporting Diddy now? Like, no. I'm just telling you from a legal standpoint, if I was Diddy's attorney, I would be like, yo, you had hundreds of thousands of hours of video surveillance footage. Please tell me you got some footage. Maybe it happened once, but do you have any footage of Cassie actually like attempting to fight back? Like, I seriously doubt it. But hey, it's already out there that you an ass whipper. So if you got any footage of maybe those first instances, because now looking at that footage that they showed, that's that footage is indicative of a woman who, I don't know if she's ever fought back before or tried to early on, but that footage was indicative of somebody who's definitely not putting up a fight. After she was on the ground, she really just laid there. She did the possum defense of, maybe if I lay here and don't move, he'll leave me the hell alone. So I seriously doubt that Diddy would have any video of a one sole instance where Cassie actually decided to fight back or appeared to be trying to whoop his ass. If I was a defense attorney, I would be like, please tell me you had something like that. But I feel fairly confident that he doesn't have anything like that, because just her being so young at the time, her being so young in age and maturity, and dealing with that abusive behavior for so long, like I would be shocked if she ever had any fight in her to try to stave him off early on in that interaction. I would be shocked. And the other thing too is, considering the type of person that I believe Diddy to be, even if there was a video of her trying to fight back, he wouldn't keep that shit. That would be the one he deleted because that wouldn't be a video that would remind him of anything that was absolutely favorable at all. The only thing that is just as worse, it's just as worse, it's equally as worse is us actually having validation that Diddy's an abusive asshole. Is if I see, pardon my offense, Gene Deal and Mark Curry, the rapper who used to be signed to Bad Boy, all of these people coming out now talking about, oh, when I worked for Diddy, I saw this and he was lacing people drinks, and everybody got all these fucking stories to tell now. But when he was doing shit, everybody was quiet and getting a paycheck. Like to me, that's fucking goofy behavior. Like, it's no way. I don't give a fuck who you are. Like, I mean, this is just me. I like, hey, Diddy blowing up people cars, but hey, you got guns, I got guns. We just gonna be some gunhead. Hey, if you want to take me out, I ain't down by myself. But I think that's goofy that now you see Diddy security and all these people signed to the label who never said shit for decades. They coming out talking about how bad of a person he is, what they witnessed, what he would do. Like, yo, y'all some goofies and some clowns. Like, y'all saw all this shit going on. Y'all had intimate knowledge of all this shit going on, and y'all ain't say shit or y'all ain't do shit. That make y'all just as worse as him in my book, personally. Like, that's just kind of how I look at it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I can't stand by some guy like stomping a mud hole and a lady. That's fucking crazy. Like, I think that's insane on my part. I ain't saying you gotta jump in there and whip Diddy's ass, even though I don't think Diddy look like he's susceptible to getting the ass whooping, but for his security. But to be around shit like that and not see it, or to be around shit like that, see it and just not do nothing because of either fear or because this dude is feeding you and giving you a paycheck. That's some soft ass behavior in my personal opinion. But yo, that's it for this video. The only thing dumber than him testify is if his son testifies. Yeah, his son got his own legal problems. Like, yeah, isn't that wild too? Like, just think about it, right? How crazy is that? Is one thing if I wanted to be a, like, very rarely, okay, if it's very rare that you see like a drug dealer who wants their son to grow up and also be a drug dealer. Normally, whatever your vice is as a parent, you don't like. If I was an alcoholic, I would be like, man, I definitely don't want my son to be an alcoholic. Like, it's the only time I see that happen is when you're talking about cartels. Like, in the cartels, it's common for El Chapo to take over the Medellin cartel. And when El Chapo got arrested, his sons, Los Chapos, they all took over and had different sections of the Medellin cartel. That's really the only unique scenarios when you talk about mobs and cartels where it's kind of inherited. Most times, parents don't want their kids to get caught up in the same bullshit that they do. So that's kind of wild, the allegations that's against his son, like, yo, using his son to go out there and solicit like sex workers and people to come back for freak offs. Yo, that's crazy as hell to kind of tie your kids up in that. But the other thing too is when you have kids who are born into extreme wealth, power, and entitlement, they think that shit is right. Like, I always tell the story when I was in Iraq and Saddam Hussein's grandsons, and that Saddam Hussein grandson, that joker put up a hell of a fight. Man, what that dude was? Hey, he gave U.S. forces a fit. But I thought about it, I said, if you Saddam Hussein grandson, you don't know what's right, what's wrong. You just know what you was born into, and that's all you know. So a lot of times you see it in ancient. I'm a history guy. You see it in ancient Roman culture as well, where you have an emperor, and the emperor may be sadistic. He may have all these weird ass mannerisms and things that he like to do. And when the new emperor comes up behind him, if it's somebody who was adopted by him, they normally have those same type of traits. So that's just wild from a parent standpoint. Like, yo, like, all right, if I'm out here doing fuck shit, it ain't no way in the world I would want my son to be out here engaging in fuck shit for my benefit. That's crazy. Like, if he want to do his own independent goofy shit, that's like, hey, that's your own independent goofy stuff. But for me to intertwine my son into my goofy shit to put him in exposure, that's crazy as hell, yo. People are out here just wilding. That's it for this video. Yo, I appreciate y'all tuning in this late night. The playoffs was over with, so I was like, Dallas got a W. Let me jump on here real quick and give my take on this topic. Yo, I'm gonna be back. I appreciate everybody. Yep. Hey, see, somebody who know about stuff. Yep, Nero and Caligula. Yep. See, I was gonna say the names, but I thought nobody. Yeah, Caligula was a motherfucker too. Well, he was actually good for like Caligula was good until he got like typhoid fever. Then he just lost his fucking mind. But yeah, this it happens. It happens in unique circumstances. But that's fucking crazy to tie your son into your bullshit. I'd be like, hey man, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, but this was do as I do. Matter of fact, join me in the fuck shit that I'm doing, and that's kind of wild. Yo, that's it for this video. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, everybody who commented. Yo, y'all have a good weekend. Be safe out there. I'll holler at y'all next week. Peace.